Hi everyone! Today I wanted to share with you a little bit about the process that went behind this painting that I made recently of a whale's eye. I titled this painting, well, at first I titled it The Whale's Eye, and then I actually displayed it at home, and my friend and my housemate, they were like, "Oh, it looks really cool where you've placed it. It looks like we have a blue guardian at home." And so since then, I've titled this piece The Blue Guardian. So the first thing I wanted to share was this is actually the first watercolor painting I made. Oh gosh, is this the first watercolor painting I've made this year? I should have looked this up before I start recording. No, it's fine. I remember now. So I have made watercolor sketches in the beginning of 2020. But I have not created a standalone final piece in watercolor in a really long time. I can't even remember when was the last time. The last time must have been a portrait commission in 2019. Yeah, it's been a while since I played with watercolor. And it's funny because watercolor is my favorite medium. And I actually stopped using it because I was just getting really overwhelmed by having to keep the paintings that I was making. Also because I just didn't have capacity to sell them or display them anywhere else. So they just kind of took a back seat. And I started to play around with digital more. This year I wanted to reconnect with that love of watercolor because watercolors for me, it's a very grounding material because it's water from the watercolors, it's pigment, it's color, and it's earth from the paper. It's a very organic material for such a creative and organic art process. And there's a sense of innocence in watercolor that I really love for how unpredictable it is. And in this piece I used that unpredictability with the wet on wet technique. So wetting the paper, allowing the paper to be completely drenched and then drenching the wetness of it, saturating it with pigment. And I was doing that on purpose throughout this process of painting because I wanted to exhaust the paper surface, and it's a really thick paper. I used 638 GSM, I think. So this is like the thickest watercolor paper I've worked with. And I love it because I can really overwork it if I want to, and it still has structural integrity. So I did that overworking technique with this one because I really wanted that underwater feel. And what I realized was to get that underwater feel, I needed to like stress the paper a bit so that it looks like the feeling of being in deep water, like being in the depths of it. Yeah, okay, let's see. Why did I paint a whale's eye? So I had this really vivid dream one night where I was just I don't know what I was doing before actually. I was just hanging out, and out of nowhere my entire space and world was underwater. Like water just came in, everything was suddenly submerged. And this is kind of a recurring dream that I've had since childhood where like 1 second we're on land and the next second the land is completely submerged. As a child, when I had this dream, I would be shocked awake. My body would be shocked awake by the sudden change in landscape. So I haven't had this dream in a while. This time around when I had this dream, I noticed it and it stayed with me because in that dream, rather than shocking my body awake, I stayed underwater. I realized that in this dream I could breathe underwater, which is really cool. When I found that out, I was like, oh, this is really nice. I'm gonna like start exploring now. So I was swimming around and exploring, and there were these underwater creatures that looked like sharks or whales, but weren't really because they were like designed in ways that were different than the ones that we have here on Earth. And I was face to face with one of these beings, one of these underwater creatures, and I could see into its eye. It was huge and it was right in front of me in this dream, and I could see right into its eye. And when I woke up, even though the creature wasn't a creature of Earth, or it didn't look like one, I had this really strong urge to paint a whale's eye. So I went to look for a reference photo, and I did a couple of pieces, and this is the watercolor piece that I did that was inspired by that dream. And I really loved that dream because I stayed underwater rather than being shocked awake. And then I found out that what I discovered by staying with the process was I discovered feelings of wonder and of adventure. That was a vibration that I wanted to capture in this piece and for myself. And now it's up at home and it serves as a reminder, and it's also a reminder for my housemate that we are being looked after by a big blue guardian, which is such a cute thing to think about. I love thinking of nature as guardians of us because I feel like nature has more agency than we do on Earth, and it's something that we need to respect more, that we need to be more aware of in our human day-to-day life. And so yeah, that's all I wanted to share about this piece. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this or if you'd like to see more of my work, I invite you to join my Patreon community where I share a lot about art, and more so currently there's a lot more sharing on like healing and compassionate spirituality and practical ways of living a compassionate spiritual life. So if any of that resonates with you, I'd love to see you on there. And yeah, I hope you're all taking good care of yourselves.